Namaskar and welcome. Well, big news at this hour. Unlock 4 guidelines are out and it opens up more and more activities outside containment zone. The good news is that India continues to open up more and more gradually. We'll get you the more details on this broadcast in News Night tonight. And also today, Prime Minister spoke extensively about Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture sector. Prime Minister also pitched in for farmers of India as entrepreneurs and most importantly, big development push for Bundelkhand in Uttar Pradesh. And that is going to be a talking point tonight on News Night. I'm Sakal Bhatt and first up, the headlines. Centre issues guidelines for Unlock 4.0, metro services to resume in a phased manner from 7th of September, open-air theatre to restart from 21st of September, lockdown to continue in containment zones till 30th of September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually inaugurates the College and Administrative Buildings of Rani Lakshmi Bai Central Agricultural University in Jhansi. Prime Minister says self-reliance in agriculture is not limited to self-sufficiency in food grains. Prime Minister says aim of the government is to make farmers both producer as well as entrepreneurs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the students of Rani Lakshmi Bai University. Prime Minister exchanges ideas of agriculture technology with students. Our students taught on methods to eliminate import of edible oils and increase processing of fruits and vegetables. In a big success to security forces, BSF detects 150-yard trans-border tunnel in Samba district of Jammu and Kashmir. BSF also detects sandbags with marking of Pakistan in the tunnel. Centre writes to state finance ministers on GST compensation, says the government is committed to implementation of the act in letter and spirit. Finance Secretary and Expenditure Secretary to address states' queries coming Tuesday. And India further consolidates its war to beat COVID-19 pandemic. More than 9 lakh tests conducted in country for the third day in a row. Total number of tests conducted crosses 4 crore mark. Recovery rate improves to 76.47%, while case fatality rate drops further to 1.81. Monsoon fury continues in various parts of the country. Flood dike situation in many districts of Madhya Pradesh. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan conducts aerial survey in the state. UP gets normal respite from the rain. Weather department says this year has seen rainiest August in last 44 years. President Ramnath Kovind virtually confers National Sports and Adventure Awards 2020. 5 athletes honoured with Khel Ratna Award, while 27 others receive Arjun Award. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates the awardees. And now for the top story in detail, where this is seen as a big move. The Ministry of Home Affairs just a while back released fresh guidelines for 4.0 that will come in force from September 1st. Now let's take a look at these guidelines closely. Under the new guidelines, the centre has allowed reopening of metro services across the country in a graded manner from 7th of September. Schools, colleges will stay shut till September 30th. Social, political functions to be permitted with ceiling of 100 persons from September 21st. Open-air theatres to be permitted with effect from September 21st. States, union territories may permit up to 50% of the teaching or non-teaching staff to schools. Students of class 9th to 12th may be permitted to visit their schools, but outside containment zones only. Skill or entrepreneurship training will be permitted in national skill training. Cinema halls, swimming pools, entertainment parks, theatres are not permitted. International air travel of passengers is not permitted. States not to impose any local lockdown outside containment zones. That is important. No restriction on interstate and intrastate movement of persons and goods. Use of Arogya Setu continues to be encouraged. This will be encouraged. MHA will monitor the effective implementation of these national directives which have been released today evening. Let's talk about this in detail. Shishir Sinha, Senior Deputy Editor, The Hindu, joins us on Newsnight, and also we are joined by Senior Journalist Sanjay Singh. Thank you both of you for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Well, first of all, Shishir Sinha, your thoughts on the latest Unlock 4 guidelines. The country continues to open up slowly but gradually. But now that the metro rail services will be allowed, I think that's going to be one of the biggest takeaways of the Unlock 4 guidelines. Does this also reinforce government's confidence in terms of flattening the curve, in terms of dealing with the COVID-19 situation further? People were very anxious to know the reopening of metro services, etc. Shishir. Shishir, can you hear us?
Can you get my voice?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I'm talking about the opening of or restarting of metro services. Take the example of NCR region. I mean, when a worker has to move from Delhi to, say, Noida or Greater Noida, the kind of public transportation we have is not sufficient to take the entire load of labor movement. So in case of metro services restarting, the local economy will get a boost, the local industrial activity will get a boost, movement of labor, movement of people from one place to another place will get a boost. This is one aspect. The other thing is the local lockdown. I think local lockdown is affecting economic recovery in a very, very big way. And it's really matter of concern, because some states are going for 2-day lockdown, some states are going for weekend lockdown. Take the example of 2 states, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. In Haryana, we had, till last week, we had lockdown on Saturday and Sunday in some places. In Uttar Pradesh, there were lockdown on, there's still a lockdown on Saturday and Sunday. So economic activities, business activities, which take in a bigger way on these days, of course, will get affected. Then the supply chain will get affected. If the producer is in Haryana, if the supplier is from Uttar Pradesh, then he has to move from Uttar Pradesh to Delhi to Haryana. And if there is a lockdown in, say, Haryana, then certainly it will have a problem.
Okay, Sanjay, would you agree with Shishir, especially its far-reaching implications or impact on the economic restructuring, giving perhaps boosts to economic activity in more phased manner? Sanjay?
Sakal, most of all, I would say that this is a great, in the sense there is a great deal of confidence among the policymakers and also among the people. As the metro starts after 6.5 months, more than 6.5 months since the time its operations had ceased. And therefore, what Shishir is saying, I perfectly agree with that. And I would go a bit further in the sense that so many offices in Delhi and also in NCR have now opened up. And the point which Shishir was making, that ultimately if there is a public transport, that is only buses or autos or cabs. If we know that the central government, the CISF and the two agencies involved, or the governments involved, here in this particular case, Delhi government and Union Ministry of Housing Urban Development, they are capable of kind of operating through laid out SOP, providing sanitization and other things. And that will give public confidence a huge booster, because now after more than 6 months, we have come to realize that we have to live with this particular thing and fight it out. Various agencies involved are actually fighting it out. And metro, therefore, is a very symbolic and very confident move on part of government, that there is no going back in terms of opening up of economic activities, and also social activities have also been opened up. So that displays, yeah.
Yeah, is this because let's look at the larger picture, Shishir. First of all, do you think this has come pretty much on expected lines, because there were a lot of speculations? Now is the time that government looks pretty confident in terms of opening the public transport, especially metro, because the kind of numbers that we have seen in the last 1 week in terms of our testing capability, in terms of our recovery rate actually escalating so fast. So we not only have flattened the curve, but the government has managed to win the confidence of the people from here on.
I think flattening of curve is too early to say about that. But one thing I will appreciate
the numbers
here
have
that,
come down drastically.
yeah, of course. I mean, that number has come down. The recovery rate has gone up, but the number of active cases are still there. So anyway, that's a different issue.
Okay.
The important issue is that if we have to think about economic activities, we have to think about how the supporting infrastructure is there. And that supporting infrastructure is metro. I mean, you take example of all the 4 metros, Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Madras. I mean, local transportation is on, if we talk about Mumbai, it is a local train and the metro. In Delhi, it's a metro. In Calcutta, it's a metro and the other transportation facilities. In Chennai, Bangalore or Hyderabad, I mean, the metro facility is really helping in economic activity. So I think this is one of the most important things.
But there are lots like let's talk on behalf of Aam Aadmi. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Sanjay, if you would like to come in here. You know, many would say that, oh, metro khul gayi, this is going to be pretty risky. This is also the kind of response that's coming in, right?
No, but then you also have buses opened up. You are traveling in buses. Yeah. And we know that there are many people, metro in any way is greener, safer, more cheaper and more comfortable way of travel. Look at 2 situations. You are talking about Aam Aadmi. Now this is clear and both cleared by the Supreme Court that the JEE and NEET exams will be held, and final year graduation exams of all hues, in the sense medical engineering, graduation, law, whatever, etc., are going to be held in some time now, as will be decided by various universities and state governments, whichever is applicable. Then how do people move? There also has to be certain degree of confidence among the policymakers, also among the people. See, there is always going to be some degree of skepticism about the unlock situation. And if you look at it, see, like open air theaters have also been opened from September 21st. The gatherings which you referred earlier are going to be opened up. So the 30th September, post 30th September, schools could open up. We're still not sure whether that would be extended or not. But you have to realize and come to live with those situations. People are now far more conscious. Yes, there is crowding in metro. We all know that. But people have also become acutely conscious about their health situations and trying their best to maintain social distancing and whatever norms have been prescribed thereby.
States cannot impose any lockdown beyond containment zones. Shishir, more clarity now, because the implementation of it is at the end of the day with these states to follow. Do you think there has been a larger consensus before they formulated these guidelines? Obviously.
Certainly, I think local lockdown is one thing which has affected economic recovery. I mean, if we take the first 3 months, April, May and June, we all know that April, May was a complete lockdown thing. From the unlocking started with June 1st. And then after, a number of certain local lockdowns were taking place for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. And that was affecting a supply chain. Take an example, if a car manufacturer is in Gurugram, and then the supplier is in Pune, auto component supplier is in Pune. If there is a local lockdown in Pune, then the supply will not be made available to the car manufacturer in Gurugram. So the car manufacturer will not be able to produce anything despite going for work at full pace. So that is the problem we are facing because of the local lockdown. Local lockdown is affecting the supply chain in a bigger way. And if we have to think about economic recovery, they need to curb on local lockdown. And I think this is one of the best things. And I think this was also not expected. This is one thing which has surprised many, that how Ministry of Home Affairs is taking a decision on going for curbing local lockdown. But this is one of the best thing which has happened from the economic recovery point.
Have we managed to curtail local lockdown? Would you agree with Shishir, Sanjay?
What Shishir is saying, say for instance, Noida and Ghaziabad and Gurugram and Faridabad, take for these four NCR regions, for example. In Noida and Ghaziabad, you have lockdown on weekends, and Faridabad, Gurgaon had lockdown on Saturday, Sunday. Now they have moved it to Monday or Tuesday, I suppose, whereby the clarity has been given by the government in case of Gurugram that offices would remain open, but other supply, other than non-essential supply, would be closed. See, what happens if some economic activity, and we know that there are several areas where weekends, in terms of shopping malls, in terms of marketplaces, the concept of weekly holiday had gone long ago. And people were actually, these establishments, business establishments were open 7 days a week. Not just these malls, but also a whole lot of other commercial activities were taking on over the weekends, and weekend holidays were staggered for employees. Also, in terms of MHA has again clarified.
Okay.
A few days ago, there was clarification from MHA when in meeting with Chief Secretary. Now MHA has again in Unlock 4.0 has clarified that there would be no restriction for movement of goods and persons interstate and intrastate. What unfortunately happens on say NCR regions, restrictions interstate movement in terms of people do come in place. I don't know. I think a greater clarity in terms of the NCR region, because here we actually see this particular situation first, and I think that on that particular point, the MHA has again said if any lockdown has to be beyond containment zone, the central government has to be consulted. A prior consultation has to be made with center. So I think this is a very good move. By making this thing prior consultation, they have made their intentions clear that this has to be enforced in letter and spirit.
We'll have to see post 7 September how all this is received and implemented on ground. Meanwhile, Sanjay and Shishir, please stay with us. Let's now move on to the other big story, and of course we'll come back to talk about that as well. We're talking about the development push in Bundelkhand. Viewers, our top story, the other top story on News 9. Prime Minister today reiterated the commitment of both the centre and the UP government for development of Bundelkhand region, as well as restoring its historic identity and past glory. Prime Minister has also announced water projects worth 10,000 crore, which have been sanctioned for drought-hit Bundelkhand. Prime Minister Modi today virtually inaugurated the College and Administration buildings of Rani Lakshmibai Central Agricultural University in Jhansi. We have this comprehensive report. Take a look.
मैं मेरी झांसी नहीं दूंगी। आज एक नई गर्जना की आवश्यकता है और इसी झांसी से, इसी बुंदेलखंड की धरती से आवश्यकता है। मेरी झांसी, मेरा बुंदेलखंड आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को सफल बनाने के लिए पूरी ताकत लगा देगा, एक नया अध्याय लिखेगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking after inaugurating the College and Administration buildings of Rani Lakshmibai Central Agricultural University via video conference and making a strong pledge to develop Bundelkhand to the core and an appeal to make Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign a big success. The RLB Central Agricultural University is located in Jhansi. PM made a strong pitch for self-reliance in agriculture sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday said that self-reliance in agriculture doesn't only mean self-sufficiency in food grains but encompasses self-reliance of the entire economy of the village.
कृषि में आत्मनिर्भरता का लक्ष्य किसानों को एक उत्पादक के साथ ही उद्यमी बनाने का भी है। जब किसान और खेती उद्योग की भांति आगे बढ़ेगी तो बड़े स्तर पर गांव में और गांव के पास ही रोजगार और स्वरोजगार के अवसर तैयार होने वाले हैं।
Prime Minister stressed the need to take education related to agriculture and its practice to the school level. PM said 6 years ago there was only one central agricultural university in the country and now 3 central agricultural universities are functioning in India.
प्रयास है कि गांव के स्तर पर मिडिल स्कूल लेवल पर ही कृषि के विषय को इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाए। इससे 2 लाभ होंगे। एक लाभ तो ये होगा कि गांव के बच्चों में खेती से जुड़ी जो एक स्वाभाविक समझ होती है उसका वैज्ञानिक तरीके से विस्तार होगा। दूसरा लाभ ये होगा कि वो खेती और इससे जुड़ी तकनीक, व्यापार, कारोबार इसके बारे में अपने परिवार को ज्यादा जानकारी दे पाएंगे। इससे देश में एग्रो एंटरप्राइज को भी और बढ़ावा मिलेगा।
The PM recalled how in the month of May, the Bundelkhand in UP and other regions had faced locust attacks. The Prime Minister in his address spoke about how scientific approach and technology was used to contain the situation. The Prime Minister said young researchers, young scientists will have to work continuously on modern agricultural equipment to make it more useful in the agriculture sector in the country.
स्थानीय ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी हो, दूसरी आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की टेक्नोलॉजी हो, आधुनिक कृषि उपकरण हो, इसको देश की कृषि में अधिक से अधिक उपयोग में लाने के लिए आप जैसे युवा रिसर्चर्स को, युवा वैज्ञानिकों को निरंतर एक समर्पित भाव से वन लाइफ वन मिशन की तरह काम करना होगा।
The PM lauded the efforts made by the people of Bundelkhand while battling COVID crisis, while reiterating government's commitment to alleviate the problems faced by the people of the region. While outlining the benefits of development policies, PM talked about how at least 10 lakh women of Bundelkhand have been provided with free gas cylinders, how Jan Dhan account of lakhs of women have been credited, and that free ration is being distributed to those below poverty line in remote districts. PM added, so far more than 700 crore rupees have been spent in UP under Garib Kalyan Rozgar Yojana, under which employment is being provided to millions of workers. PM also spoke about that hundreds of ponds have been repaired and new ponds constructed. Prime Minister also underlined the development work which is underway in the Bundelkhand region. He added that projects like Bundelkhand Expressway, Defence Corridor will create thousands of employment opportunities in the region.
वो दिन दूर नहीं जब वीरों की ये भूमि झांसी और इसके आसपास का ये पूरा क्षेत्र देश को रक्षा क्षेत्र में आत्मनिर्भर के लिए एक बड़ा क्षेत्र विकसित हो जाएगा। यानी एक तरह से बुंदेलखंड में जय जवान, जय किसान और जय विज्ञान का मंत्र चारों दिशाओं में गूंजेगा। केंद्र सरकार और उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार बुंदेलखंड की पुरातन पहचान को, इस धरती के गौरव को समृद्ध करने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है।
Later, PM Modi interacted with several students of the university during the event. Besides making a strong pitch of self-reliance in agricultural sector and development of Bundelkhand region, PM also spoke about integrating drone technology, artificial intelligence technology with agriculture. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Later today, Prime Minister interacted with students of the university during the same event and discussed ways to enhance farming techniques. Take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the College and Administration buildings of the Rani Lakshmibai Central Agricultural University in Jhansi via video conferencing. Though it was the inauguration of the administration buildings, the Prime Minister ensured that he interacted with the students. Prime Minister Modi not only asked the students about their experiences, but also asked questions regarding Bundelkhand's development and agro-technology. PM Modi urged the students to create awareness among the farmers about micro-drip and sprinkler irrigation in drought-prone Bundelkhand region.
पानी के अभाव में बड़ी कठिनाइयों वाला क्षेत्र है। जहाँ पानी कम होता है वहाँ माइक्रो इरिगेशन, ड्रिप इरिगेशन, स्प्रिंकलर क्या हम किसानों को इस विषय में जागरूक कर सकते हैं क्या? किसान इन चीजों को स्वीकार कर सकते हैं क्या?
यहाँ पर माइक्रो इरिगेशन जैसे ड्रिप इरिगेशन एवं स्प्रिंकलर इरिगेशन के मॉडल तैयार करे गए हैं। हमें इसके बारे में भी पढ़ाया गया है, इसके महत्वता के बारे में भी बताया गया है और इस वर्ष मैं रावे के अंतर्गत सभी किसानों को जागरूक करने की कोशिश जरूर करूंगी।
During his interaction with the students, PM Modi stressed on the importance of water harvesting. He said that it is important to use low-cost technology for it. Prime Minister asked the students to ponder upon why an agriculture-based economy like India has to import edible oils worth 70,000 crore rupees.
आपने कभी सोचा होगा कि भारत कृषि प्रधान देश है, भारत की आत्मा गांव में बसती है, उसके बावजूद भी बहुत सी सारी कृषि पैदाश ऐसी हैं जो भारत इंपोर्ट करता है। एडिबल ऑयल के लिए करीब 75,000 करोड़ रुपीस हमारा विदेश जाता है। तो आपको लगता है कि आप जो योजनाएं बना रही हो तो भविष्य में भारत में मुट्ठी भर भी कृषि पैदावार कहीं से बाहर से लानी न पड़े, उसका लिस्टिंग बनाना, उस पर रिसर्च करना, उस पर काम करना, ये हो सकता है क्या?
जी सर, जरूर हो सकता है। यदि सारे कृषि से जुड़े हुए व्यक्ति अपनी पूरी क्षमता और परिश्रम के साथ लगे रहें और खेती को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ अच्छा इनोवेटिव सोचे तो वो जरूर हो सकता है।
PM Modi laid special emphasis on food processing. He also asked their opinions on ways to overcome the challenges of increasing the processing of fruits and vegetables.
आपको क्या लगता है कि आप जब ये हॉर्टिकल्चर में जा रहे हैं, अब फल तो सीजनल होते हैं और इनको लंबे समय तक स्टोरेज करना भी बहुत मुश्किल होता है। फल सब्जी की प्रोसेसिंग और वैल्यू एडिशन, इससे जुड़े सेक्टर में आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, तो आपको क्या लगता है आप क्या कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाएंगे, क्या बदलाव ला सकते हैं?
सर, हमने हमारी पढ़ाई के दौरान फलों और सब्जियों की प्रोसेसिंग से संबंधित विभिन्न विधियां बहुत विस्तार से पढ़ी हैं और अपने विश्वविद्यालय और उद्योगों से जुड़कर प्रायोगिक शिक्षा भी प्राप्त करी है और स्टूडेंट रेडी कार्यक्रम के तहत हमने व्यावसायिक शिक्षा भी प्राप्त करी है, जिसके साथ ही हम स्टार्टअप शुरू करके आत्मनिर्भर भारत के निर्माण में अपना योगदान दे सकते हैं।
पिछले दिनों हमारे कच्छ के किसानों ने रेगिस्तान में ड्रैगन फ्रूट की खेती करके एक बहुत बड़ा कमाल किया है और मैंने तो टेस्ट किया है, बहुत ही शायद मैंने आज तक जितने ड्रैगन फ्रूट खाए हैं उसमें मुझे कच्छ से जो बनाए किसानों ने मेहनत करके तैयार किया है, सचमुच में क्वालिटेटिवली बहुत बड़ा फर्क नजर आ रहा है, अच्छा लग रहा है। आपको लगता है कि ऐसे कुछ चीजें हैं जो भारत बाहर से न लाए, हमें यहाँ उत्पादन करने के लिए हम प्रेरित कर सकते हैं?
जी सर, बिल्कुल। अगर हम सब सारे विश्वविद्यालय साथ मिलकर अगर प्रयास करें तो ये बिल्कुल संभव है सर।
PM Modi discussed the issue of forest conservation and highlighted the steps being taken by the government in that direction. Prime Minister also spoke to the students on reducing the use of fertilizers in farming and encouraged them to opt for organic farming.
अब जो नीम कोटेड यूरिया आया है, नीम कोटेड यूरिया आने के बाद जो टोटल यूरिया जो कंजम्पशन होता है उसमें 10% तो यूरिया कंजम्पशन कम हो गया है। इस एरिया में जो सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड जो बहुत अच्छा सक्सेसफुल स्कीम हुआ है और इसके लिए हम बहुत खुश हैं सर।
ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग और ऑर्गेनिक एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स, ये दुनिया में उसकी बहुत मांग है, बहुत वैल्यू है। भारत के लोगों को ये चीजें हस्तगत है, मैंने हम सदियों से इसी के आदी थे, बीच में ही हम थोड़ी गाड़ी डिरेल हो गई है, हम बहुत तेजी से इसको अडॉप्ट कर सकते हैं।
The first academic year of Rani Lakshmibai Central Agricultural University was 2014-15. The college provides undergraduate and postgraduate courses in the fields of agriculture, horticulture and forestry. Established in the low rainfall region of Bundelkhand, the university has been declared as an institute of national importance. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Well, we take a short break now, but when we come back, we talk about development push for Bundelkhand. Prime Minister, remember, pitched in for a massive development push for Bundelkhand in UP, and also talked about Atmanirbharta in agricultural sector. On the other side, a big discussion on In Focus, but first up, a short break. Stay with us.
पक्की होगी बुनियादें तो हंसे हिंदुस्तान होगा पहल करो शुरुआत करो करो तो पक्की बात करो पहल करो शुरुआत करो करो तो पक्की
वंडर सीमेंट एक परफेक्ट शुरुआत।
दादी दादी के जाने से पहले पोता पोती का मुंह दिखा दो, यही कहा गया ना तुमको। ये पढ़।
अब नए गर्भ निरोधक इंजेक्शन आ चुके हैं।
ये तू पढ़।
महिला एक बार इंजेक्शन लगवाए तो 3 महीने के लिए निश्चिंत हो जाए।
समझ गए ना दादी क्या चाहती है? परिवार सोच समझ कर बढ़ाओ, खुश रहो।
सेहत और सोच दोनों से तैयार होकर परिवार बढ़ा रहा है इंडिया। फोन करें और सब जानकारी पाइए। जोड़ी जिम्मेदार जो प्लान करे परिवार।
Thanks for staying with News Night. In focus tonight on the show, development push for Bundelkhand. We are going to talk about the big takeaways of Prime Minister's outreach to the students today when he talked about Atmanirbharta in agricultural sector, when he talked about farmers not only as producers but entrepreneurs, and also integrating scientific knowledge with agriculture, and a massive development pitch for Bundelkhand district in UP. Shishir Sinha continues to be with us, Senior Deputy Editor at The Hindu, as well as Senior Journalist Sanjay Singh. Shishir, I would like to come to you. Quick analysis of the big takeaways, if you would start with that. When Prime Minister talked about what he really means when he says Atmanirbharta in agricultural sector. It's not about producing food grains, but also the way he spoke extensively about integrating technology with agriculture and including this in a school curriculum. Do you see that as a very unprecedented thought process coming from Prime Minister? Because we're really talking about out-of-the-box ideas in this space.
Certainly, if you take the GDP composition, it's a composition says that industry has a share of almost 29%, services has 54%, and agriculture has 17%. The lowest share has agriculture has the lowest share. But if you talk about the labor force dependency on agriculture, it is something around 50%. And if you talk about population dependency, it is almost about 65%. So considering these figures, we need to have some kind of innovation in agriculture. We need to bring more and more technological aspect into the agriculture. We can't just continue with the what we used to have, the conventional way of farming, right, or conventional way of agriculture activities. We need to bring more and more technology. I mean, when we talk about food grain production, our dependency is more on the paddy or the wheat or some pulses. Can't we have some kind of commercial crops? Can't we have, like he gave the example of dragon fruit? So these kind of activities, these kind of innovation will certainly bring some economic value addition in the agriculture. The second aspect is that why people are not getting attracted to agriculture. When we talk about why youths are not coming back or why youths are not attracting toward agriculture, one of the basic reasons is that they are not getting the economic return from the agriculture. Can we make more and more viable proposition in agriculture? That is what he talked about, all the technology and technological changes in that. Technology will also bring some kind of change for water management, in seeds, in fertilizer, and other aspect of agriculture. So I think these are the broad area which Prime Minister wanted to talk about, and I think this will really change the concept of agriculture, what we used to have and what we should have.
And bit of a backgrounder also, coming to you, Sanjay, there was this massive development pitch for Bundelkhand once again. Remember when Prime Minister took over in 2014, at that time also it promised the people of drought-hit state of district of Bundelkhand that things are going to be different from for you now onwards, and from 14 to 20 lots of projects. In fact, we're going to run that graphic plate for. There's a massive development plan in place for the people of Bundelkhand.
See, Bundelkhand as it is a backward region of the country. Bundelkhand is partly in UP and partly in Madhya Pradesh.
Yes.
This is a dry region. If you go to Bundelkhand, this is a beautiful region, but unfortunately there is hardly any water, and thereby consequential problems are of course going to be there. You're talking about agriculture and introduction of agriculture, something about agriculture in school studies. When I was reading this and I was hearing about to the Prime Minister, I suddenly realized that why somebody did not talk about or think about it in last 70 years. Because if some student, somebody in rural area, some student reads it and talks about at his home, he is not only gets further attached to the soil, but also will start thinking more, be more innovative and talking about family and more rooted to the ground.
But the promise that the Prime Minister made earlier was transforming Bundelkhand region like Kutch in Gujarat. And I think today when he talked about what are the plans in place? Yes.
I'm coming to that also, Sakal. The fact remains that there are a whole lot of other things. Water, of course, Prime Minister talked about it, 10,000 crore water project, 500 projects in all. And that I think is going to transform lives of Bundelkhand region, not in terms of potable water, but also in terms of irrigation. And the Central Agricultural University where he was talking about, that is a dry region and therefore even more significant. The two other projects, that defense corridor and Bundelkhand Expressway. Bundelkhand Expressway, remember, connects Delhi to Chitrakoot. That's a huge project. You start driving from here, from Agra, you move on to Lucknow Expressway, and from there on you move on to Chitrakoot. That is Bundelkhand region. And defense corridor, the area which was so far considered backward, this particular area is being developed as defense corridor. You cannot imagine how this area is going to be transformed in years to come. This not only brings more industry, more investment, but also the economic and social transformation that is going to bring to the region, because once these industries moves, once the highway comes along, whole of ancillary economic activities also start coming up, and also socially and agriculture and land and so many things are there. So Bundelkhand, I think, is one example, could set to be one example for the rest of the country as to how an area can be developed and set as an example.
Shishir, so after Gujarat model of development, are we looking at another Bundelkhand model of development in making?
Certainly, and I will just take forward what Sanjay ji was saying about the construction activity, industrial activity. I mean, you can imagine that when the construction activity is going on, when the road is being constructed in a region, it provides some kind of support to almost 400 different kind of economic activities. So it is not just one road is being built or one building is constructed. It is also providing multiple opportunities to various kind of industries. And that is why when you are going to develop the region, it is going to provide support to various other industries. It is also going to provide employment opportunity also. So of course we will have a kind of development model, and especially in Bundelkhand, when you are starting with a potable water facility, because water is one of the biggest concern in that area. So when you are providing potable water facility, when you are bringing road to that area, when you are setting up a kind of corridor facility, that will a kind of holistic approach will be there, and that will certainly become a kind of model for the backward region. I think this is going to be a new model of economy which can be in various other parts of the country.
Yes, you talked, Sanjay, about Bundelkhand Expressway and Shishir, that Jal Jeevan Mission and Har Ghar Jal scheme which is currently underway, that is something which is covering about as many as 700 villages. I think that's huge. There are 12 rural pipe water projects worth whopping 2,185 crore rupees, and the government is very serious. In fact, the fact that there are administrative committees in place headed by the Chief Minister to look into the implementation of it. Well, that's very important. That last mile connectivity is also what the government, the state government as well as the central government is really taking care of.
Sakal, you talked about Kutch model. Of course, this is going to be another model. See, Bundelkhand for rest of the country connects with two things. A, Jhansi, with Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai, historically, and spiritually culturally and religiously. Chitrakoot connects with rest of the country with Lord Ram, Bhagwan Ram. And there is huge connect if expressway is constructed and people can move very smoothly, freely and in more comfortable manner from Delhi to Chitrakoot and to Jhansi. That also is again going to boost tourism, religious and historical. That is another thing. More so, to best of my knowledge, Uttar Pradesh government and union government have already started working about the companies which may uproot themselves from China and may invest in India. The government agencies here and there are already in process of talking to such companies which potentially may otherwise have invested in China and may exit from China post-COVID situation, and they could come to this particular region, this Bundelkhand region. That is one option besides Greater Noida region that is being offered to them.
Okay, Shishir, Ministry of Tourism, in fact, is also, they have these dedicated circuits and they're also developing Bundelkhand under this incredible India tagline. They have wildlife circuit, spiritual heritage circuit. So all of that is also, besides the development aspect, the whole cultural heritage, restoring that identity of Bundelkhand, which was actually very conveniently, ignored by the previous UP regime. That's also on the anvil.
Yeah, there are two aspects to that. When you talk about tourism, tourism is one area which gives a maximum number of employment. So if you see the migration from Bundelkhand to various other parts of country, can we stop that? Can we provide some kind of local employment? Tourism is one thing which can provide that. The second thing is that people are looking for alternative avenues. They don't want to go to the regular tourist spot. They want to go to the unusual or not very known tourist places.
Yes.
That Bundelkhand provide that opportunity, and that is why Ministry of Tourism is looking for developing a kind of infrastructure and also a kind of a system to develop Bundelkhand as one of the alternative tourism region in place of other very popular tourist spots.
All right, on that note, thank you very much, Shishir Sinha, Senior Deputy Editor, The Hindu, and Senior Journalist Sanjay Singh, both of you gentlemen, for joining us on Newsline. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's now move on and talk about the other stories that we've been tracking for you. The double speak of some of the states on holding NEET and JEE exams and also their attempts to politicize this whole issue in the past stands blatantly exposed once again, especially in the social media, when some states showed earlier a lot of reluctance to hold these exams, citing pandemic as a massive cause of concern. In fact, some states also reached the top court to oppose conduct of these examinations, once again citing corona pandemic concerns. But these are the same states which haven't shown any reservation vis-a-vis sale of liquor during pandemic. Such states and their double standards have come in for very sharp criticism in social media recently. Take a look.
In view of increasing demands by students and parents, government has decided to conduct NEET and JEE tests in September. However, some of the political parties have started playing politics on this issue that is absolutely related to students' career. They approached Supreme Court on the issue, but the Apex Court made it clear that everything can't be stopped due to COVID-19 and that's why the test should be conducted. Despite that, some states have filed review petition for postponement of tests before the Supreme Court. However, their double face have got exposed on social media. State governments of Punjab, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Delhi and Maharashtra are being attacked on social media. Chhattisgarh CM Bhupesh Baghel allowed to open liquor shops in state in April during the lockdown. It came second state to do so. But today the same government is seeking postponement of exams due to coronavirus. Maharashtra continues to be number 1 in COVID cases. However, State Health Minister was supporting liquor sale in April. But CM Uddhav Thackeray sees danger in conducting these exams for which students are awaiting for long. The situation is no different in Rajasthan. High Court had sent notice to state government for giving permission to open liquor shops during the lockdown. But CM Ashok Gehlot is seeking postponement of exams. In Delhi, Kejriwal government had opened liquor shops despite the warning of Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan and put the lives of lakhs of people at risk. Today, Delhi Deputy CM Manish Sisodia says conducting these examinations would be playing with the lives of the students. Punjab CM also didn't have any objection in opening liquor shops, but today he is demanding that exams should be postponed. The BJP has become aggressive on the double standard of opposition parties.
ये वही मुख्यमंत्री हैं कांग्रेस के जो अप्रैल के महीने में शराब के ठेके खोलने की बात कर रहे थे। तब उनको सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का और लोगों के स्वास्थ्य का ख्याल नहीं आया क्योंकि उनको राजस्व इकट्ठा करना था। लेकिन अब जब 3, 4, 5 सेंटर मैनेज करने की बात आई है तब ये उसको करने में अपनी असमर्थता दिखा रहे हैं। देश में एक जागरूकता है कोविड को लेकर और सेफ्टी प्रोटोकॉल्स को लेकर भी लोग सजग हैं। ऐसे में ये कहना कि जेईई और एनईटी के इम्तिहान नहीं होना चाहिए सरासर राजनीति है।
The National Testing Agency, which conducts NEET and JEE exams, has issued SOPs to be strictly followed at exam centers and has made all arrangements to prevent spread of coronavirus. But the opposition is not ready to heed to any plea and it is bent upon playing politics on such a sensitive issue. Newsnet Desk, DD India.
Let's move on now on the latest as far as corona is concerned. India continues to stay ahead of the curve in terms of capacity building and testing. The good news is that India has tested over 9 lakh COVID-19 samples each day for the third successive day today. And the greatest news is that India has touched a new peak of 4 crore tests so far.
In its fight against COVID-19 since January 2020, India has crossed another peak. The cumulative tests have seen an unprecedented upsurge and surpassed 4 crore on Saturday. India has set a new landmark of testing 4 crore 4,06,609 people. The single-day tests have also seen an upsurge. More than 9 lakh COVID-19 samples were tested each day for the third consecutive day. Already having achieved the testing capacity of 10 lakh tests per day, 9,28,761 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. This has boosted the tests per million with a sharp increase to 29,280. The national positivity rate has remained low and stands at 8.57% and is constantly falling. The recovery rate has now reached 76.47%. The case fatality rate declined to 1.81%. The COVID-19 recoveries have crossed 26 lakh. 65,050 recoveries have been registered in the last 24 hours. The actual caseload of the country is the active cases, which is 7,52,424 and is only 21.72% of the total positive cases. The gap between recovered patients and active COVID-19 cases reached nearly 19 lakh.
We had made remarkable progress in the development of these new labs. So today our number of labs stands at 1,576 with over 1,000 labs in the government sector. During this month we crossed the 1 million test mark, and yesterday itself we tested 9,28,761 patients in a single day all over the country. We have already crossed the 4 crore mark on the total number of tests that we have done all over the country to diagnose patients with COVID.
Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, chaired the 20th meeting of the high-level group of ministers on COVID-19. The GOM was briefed on the current status of the COVID-19 in India. Dr. Harshvardhan expressed satisfaction at the various coordinated efforts of the central government and those of the states and the union territories. The Union Health Minister instructed the Health Ministry to develop SOPs for the members of the Parliament and the Legislative Assembly sessions comprising COVID protocols and preventing measures. The GOM also expressed concern about the forthcoming festival seasons and advised everyone to adopt safe and COVID-appropriate behavior. Besides, Chairperson of the Empowered Group 1 on Medical Emergency Management Plan, Dr. Vinod K. Paul apprised the group of ministers of the process of COVID vaccine development in India and around the world. Meanwhile, All India Institute of Medical Sciences issued a statement saying that Union Home Minister Amit Shah has recovered and is likely to be discharged in a short time. Amit Shah is admitted at AIIMS, New Delhi for post-COVID care. With inputs from Nitendra Singh, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Moving on, Enforcement Directorate today conducted searches at least 15 locations spread across Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai and Pune under the provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act in a case related to illegal betting. Searches were conducted on the registered offices of these companies, the directors and chartered accountants involved in illegally running online betting apps from websites which are hosted from outside India. ED has seized 17 hard disks, 5 laptops, phones, crucial incriminating documents during the search, and has also frozen rupees 46.96 crores held in at least 4 bank accounts. Next up, flood situation continues to be grim in many parts of the country. Several areas in Madhya Pradesh have been inundated following torrential rainfall in the state, while UP as many as 792 villages in 16 districts were affected by floods on Saturday. This is a detailed report.
Several states across the country continue to grapple with heavy rainfall and floods. Beginning with Madhya Pradesh, continuous rains has led to flood-like situation in many districts of the state. The rivers and streams have been in spate following incessant rains. The gates of the dams have been opened. Rain slashed parts of Hoshangabad district, inundating several of its areas and causing the Narmada river to flow above danger mark there. Administration has sought assistance from army to rescue people from flooded areas of the district. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan held a high-level meeting on flood situation in the state. Chief Minister also carried out an aerial survey of the flooded areas and the places along the Narmada River in Sehor and Hoshangabad districts. In Odisha, the rise in the water level of Mahanadi River has created flood situation in parts of the state. Around 4.15 lakh people have been affected in 10 districts. As many as 46 gates of Hirakud Dam have been opened to release water. The flood in the Mahanadi River is likely to affect coastal districts including Puri, Khurda, Cuttack, Jagatsinghpur, Nayagarh and parts of Kendrapada. In Uttar Pradesh, there has been a slight improvement in the flood situation. However, 792 villages in 16 districts are still affected by floods. 12 teams of NDRF and 17 teams of SDRF and PAC have been deployed for relief and rescue operation in flood-affected districts. Anil Rajbhar, the Backward Class Welfare and Divyanjan Empowerment Minister, said the Chief Minister has issued instructions to ensure constant patrolling of embankments and asserted that all embankments are safe.
उत्तर प्रदेश के 16 जनपद बाढ़ प्रभावित रह गए हैं। उसमें भी नदियों का पानी काफ़ी तेज़ी से नीचे उतर रहा है। हालांकि जब पानी नीचे उतरता है तो कटान की समस्या को पैदा करता है, लेकिन प्रशासन पूरी तरीके से सजग है, उसके लिए अतिरिक्त प्रबंध किए गए हैं।
In Chhattisgarh, normal life was disrupted due to heavy rains for the last 2 days. Incessant rain has created flood-like situation in many districts of the state. The incessant rain caused flooding in low-lying areas in cities too. According to the IMD data, India has received the highest rainfall in the month of August in the last 44 years. Until August 28, the month recorded a 25% surplus rainfall. It has also surpassed the previous highest rainfall in August, which was recorded in 1983. In that year, August had recorded a 23.8% excess rainfall. Newsnet Desk, DD India.
In a big success for security forces in Jammu and Kashmir, the border security forces detected a tunnel just beneath the India-Pakistan international border fence in Jammu on Saturday. The forces have launched a massive search operation in the area to look for other hidden structures that aid in infiltration. The opening of the tunnel is around 170 meters from the IB in the Indian territory. Some plastic sandbags have also been recovered from these tunnels, the opening of the tunnel. And some more news in our national wrap.
The central government has written a letter to the states asking them to suggest measures to make up for the shortfall in GST collection. In the last meeting of the GST Council, 2 options were placed before the states. Based on this, the next meeting has to be decided. Security forces gunned down 3 terrorists in the Jadra area of Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama. The encounter took place during the early hours of Saturday. The security forces also recovered huge quantities of arms and ammunition. One security personnel was also martyred during the encounter. Search operation is still underway. Continuing with their investigation in the Sushant Singh Rajput death case, the Central Bureau of Investigation called actor Riya Chakrabarti for the second consecutive day. Riya was quizzed for nearly 10 hours. Meanwhile, late actor's friend Siddharth Pitani, cook Neeraj Singh as well as another staff member Keshav Bashnar were also called in for the investigation. The Bharatiya Janata Party has put forth a demand to the Maharashtra government to reopen temples across the state. They staged a protest in front of temples across the state.
Well, National Sports Awards 2020 was held virtually today due to the corona pandemic, where President Ramnath Kovind gave away the awards. Khel Ratna winners Rani in hockey, paddler Manika Batra and para-athlete Mariyappan Thingavelu attended the ceremony, while Rohit Sharma and Vinesh Fogart missed out due to IPL 2020 commitments and testing positive for coronavirus. We have a detailed report.
In what was the first virtual National Sports Award ceremony forced due to the coronavirus pandemic, 60 athletes were bestowed with the honours on the birth anniversary of hockey legend Major Dhyan Chand, annually celebrated as India's Sports Day. Women wrestler Vinesh Fogart, who has been chosen for the prestigious Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award but was tested positive for coronavirus, is among the 14 sportspersons who were absent at the virtual presentation. Addressing the event, President Ramnath Kovind said that the mindset towards sports is changing. He added that connecting youth with the sport is a way of ensuring their contribution towards nation building.
खेल कूद के मैदान में जीवन का प्रतिबिंब दिखाई देता है। प्रतियोगिता, टीम वर्क, जीत हार, संघर्ष व संकल्प ये सभी जीवन के ही आयाम हैं। खेल कूद से न केवल शरीर और चरित्र का निर्माण होता है, बल्कि जीवन में विकास के मार्ग प्रशस्त होते हैं। खेल कूद के जरिए हमारे देश के दूर दराज के क्षेत्रों के युवा राष्ट्रीय मुख्य धारा से जुड़ते हैं। युवाओं को खेल कूद से जोड़ना उन्हें राष्ट्र निर्माण से जोड़ने का ही एक विशेष रूप है।
Some key names missing from the award ceremony were wrestler Vinesh Fogart and star Indian cricketer Rohit Sharma, while para-athlete Mariyappan Thangavelu, women's hockey team captain Rani and paddler Manika Batra were on Saturday conferred with the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award, the country's highest sporting honour. The award winners were connected to President Ramnath Kovind at the Rashtrapati Bhavan from different Sports Authority of India designated locations. Also, for the first time, a record number of athletes were bestowed with the Arjuna Award, including cricketer Deepti Sharma, sprinter Duti Chand, shooter Manu Bhakar and Saurabh Chaudhary. The Dronacharya Award in the lifetime category was bestowed on 8 coaches, prominent among them being archery coach Dharmendra Tiwari, Shiv Singh in boxing and Romesh Pathania in hockey. In regular category, there were 5 recipients of the Dronacharya Award, including hockey coach Jude Felix and shooting coach Jaspal Rana. The prize money for the Khel Ratna was also increased to Rs 25 lakh from the previous amount of Rs 7.5 lakh. Arjuna awardees were given Rs 15 lakh, which is Rs 10 lakh more than the previous sum. Dronacharya lifetime awardees, who were earlier given Rs 5 lakh, were awarded 15 lakhs. While Dronacharya Award in regular category along with Dhyan Chand awardees were given 10 lakh instead of Rs 5 lakh. Taposh Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of News Night on DD News. Thanks for staying. Namaskar.
News Night was